Hey guys, what's up? My name is Bharat, you're watching iGyan, and this is the OnePlus 13s. Now, this phone comes out in a few days, is priced at around 50,000 rupees. We'll get into more details, but I've had this phone for a few weeks, and this video is going to be my in depth review of having this phone for those many weeks. This video is not sponsored, and OnePlus has not influenced my opinion in any way. So, with that out of the way, let's quickly get into it. Now, this phone launches at somewhere around 54,000 rupees, but at that price, you do get a free pair of buds. And if you apply some bank offers, you can get it for under 50,000 rupees. But roughly, there are only two variants, one 12 gigabyte with 256 gigabyte variant, and one 12 gigabyte with 512 gigabyte. And that's all you have to choose from, which I really like that you have only two options. But we'll get into the specs and performance in the coming minutes, but let's quickly talk about the things I don't like by keeping it a little unusual for this video. So there are a few things that are missing on this phone right off the bat. Wireless charging is one of them. The third camera is the second thing that's missing, and IP65 is what you're getting on this device. That also not properly rated. So you want to keep this away from water as much as you can. Those are things that I don't like about this device. Also, the telephoto camera is a little bit of a miss. But that is basically more or less all, apart from the display a little bit. But let's get into what I really like about the device. Let's talk about the design. And the design is extremely familiar. If you look at an iPhone and if you look at the OnePlus 13s, it looks almost identical. It's got a flat surface design with rounded off corners, and it is very similar to an iPhone. And you would have people say that, but I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I think it looks good on this phone overall, and the way they've managed to sort of accentuate it with this really nice green color. This color, by the way, is only for the Indian market, which again is a nice thing, I guess. Overall look and feel of the phone is extremely premium. It feels really comfortable in the hand with the rounded edges, and the display is really nice. It's edge to edge almost with 1.34 mm bezels on three sides and a 1.84 mm chin, which is barely noticeable, so it looks symmetrical on all sides and looks really nice. Now, this display is a 1.5K resolution display, which is okay. I would have expected better, but because of the small size, 6.32 inches of the display, it gives it a 460 ppi pixel density, which is great. It's a good pixel density. And then the display is an LTPO Pro XDR display, so you get 1 to 120 hertz of variable refresh rate. You can go down to 1.1 hertz. So if you do have things like always on display on, it'll be great for that. Brightness is 800 nits for typical brightness, and it goes up to 1600 nits in terms of peak. So outdoors in sunlight, you will be able to hit 1600 nits, but you're not getting any of those uncanny 3000, 4000 nit numbers, which is great and appreciated on this device. The display has good viewing angles and really good color reproduction, simply because it does have 100% coverage of the P3 color gamut, and it is a 10-bit display. So overall, really nice display on this device. Resolution could have been a little bit better, but we're not really complaining about that. So this phone has a 5850 milliamp hour battery, which is massive for the size of the phone. 6.32-inch phone with almost a 6000 milliamp hour battery, which is why they completely removed the wireless charging to give more space for that battery. But more importantly, they sell a case with a magnetic attachment ring.
Why?
Which I don't know why, because you don't have wireless charging. And they recently launched an AirVook charger, which would have gone really well with this device, but that will not work because this device simply misses wireless charging. So I don't know what's going on there, but the battery is impressive on this. You'll easily get a full day plus use of charge, depending on how big your usage is. But easy 6 to 8 hours of screen on time, depending again on usage. But if you're gaming, you can have that pass-through charging, and you can game for hours without even touching the battery, simply because it'll run the phone off the power brick and it will not affect the battery at all, and it will not affect your charge cycles. So you'll get longer battery life if you turn on pass-through charging, which will be a boon for gamers. And speaking of gamers, this does have the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip in there. It is basically the flagship chip of 2025, and like I said, 12 gigabyte with 256 or 512, so only two variants to choose from. I would pick the 512 simply because the extra storage is something that is going to be useful, and You do have LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.0 storage. So no complaints as far as RAM and storage is concerned. Overall, as far as performance is concerned as well, the phone really pulls through as far as things like gaming or day-to-day tasks. You'll find this phone not hesitate whatsoever. I've been using this for a few weeks and I've really enjoyed the seamlessness of the device without needing to think about the phone locking up or slowing down whatsoever. Now, with the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, you're getting really nice benchmarks from this device. So here's a look at Antutu, basically scoring in the top percentile for any device in any price bracket, basically. And even with Geekbench, you get impressive results. This phone can really hold its own, and over the past few weeks, we've seen that performance from this device. Whether you're jumping through applications or gaming for long sessions, this phone will not have any problems with that whatsoever. There's also an impressive vapor cooling chamber that is built into the device that does dissipate heat really well, and we did not have any experiences with the device overheating in any use case scenario whatsoever, even with video recording for long periods of time. So all of those things have been excellent, and because of some of the new AI features, so this phone is running Android 15 with Oxygen OS 15 on it. You do get some of their new AI features, and they've replaced the ringer key with something that they call the plus key. Again, inspired from Apple. This is more like the action button. In fact, the entire menu interface is like the action button interface, but you do have something called Mindspace. So if you do take a screenshot of something, it will automatically save it to the Mindspace. It will analyze it with AI automatically and bring it to the Mindspace and sort of create a summary of the content in the Mindspace so that you can go back to the Mindspace and see what all you've saved. So it creates a central location for saving all your things. This reminds me a lot of the Essential Key on Nothing devices, inspired from here, inspired from there. Now, AI features have a lot more. You do have voice transcription, and you do have those calling features as well that are built in. And you also have AI features in the camera, and we'll get into that in just a second. Some other AI features include the ability to translate while on call. So if you're on call with somebody who speaks a different language, you can see the transcription live while on call, which will be a great feature to have for somebody who's doing business overseas. Now, translate features are something that are built into these OnePlus devices, and you do have the ability to download offline translations and keep them on the phone. So if you're traveling, you can use one of those offline translations if you don't have mobile network to convert things into different languages, which again, all of these AI features really useful for somebody who's using those features. Of course, you continue to get Google Gemini features like Circle to Search and all of those good things that we've seen with Google Gemini. Those will still be available on the OnePlus device. Apart from the OnePlus AI features, these will still be available. Now, let's talk about the cameras. You have two cameras. One is an LYT 700 Sony sensor. That's the main camera. And then you do have a telephoto camera. That's a JN5 Samsung sensor. And the telephoto does leave a lot to be required from. Both are 50 megapixel sensors, but the wide camera is really impressive and it does have flagship quality images. So you do have a lot of features. You do have some really nice effects that are built in. And using AI, you can also reframe your shots, which is really useful. So if you're somebody who's not really great at sort of placing your subject in the right way, in the thirds or in the center, you can click a picture randomly and then have AI sort of correct it for you, reframe it for you. That is another AI correction feature that has been added onto the device. There are a lot of raw options on this camera as well. And then you also have 4K 60 video recording with Dolby Vision. So you can have 10-bit video capture right on the device, again with a ton of raw features. So you do have access to basic settings on the camera, but you also have advanced settings available for video as well, which is great. On the front, you have a 32 megapixel camera, which is also an autofocus camera, but it does offer up some interesting things that, for example, if you look at video recording, on the main camera, you get 4K 60, but on the front camera, all resolutions only give you 30 FPS video recording. I feel that this is a big miss from OnePlus. They completely ignored it. It went under the radar. And if somebody is recording video on 4K 60 with the main camera and they decide to switch to the front camera, there will be no continuity. And I feel that these are the little things that miss out on these devices, and it can be corrected because the sensor as well as both the chip do support the ability to switch 4K onto the front camera as well. I'm not sure why OnePlus has decided to keep it out, possibly to give more focus onto their other devices. Not too sure, but that is something that they should enable if at all possible. Overall, the OnePlus 13S is a fantastic phone, although it's missing a few things, primarily wireless charging. If you're somebody like me who uses wireless charging a lot, then you will definitely miss that. It's also missing a third camera, an ultra wide camera. That is something that does come in handy for a lot of situations, and that is missing. Camera overall is pretty impressive nonetheless, and some of the pictures that we've taken came out really nice. I like the fact that they include a really nice case as well as a really nice quality screen protector on the front of the screen. The price range is pretty good for offering a Snapdragon Elite chip, and overall the design and look and feel of the camera is really impressive. What are your thoughts on the OnePlus 13S? Let us know in the comment section below. And what would you like to see OnePlus do with this device in the near future? Do you think the pricing is right for this phone, or do you think it should drop a little bit more? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, snap like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.